Dun, 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 dun. And we are live. It is January 15th, 2023, Gregorian calendar, if you may. And we got two people in the room, which is the most I've ever had. So thank you for being here. This is Sunday with Nico the Dreamer. This is an hour where I am offering myself to the world and to stimulate conversation and create a vibe and help manifest heaven on earth, wonderfulness on earth, goodness in the realm. And just like that, I'm back to talking to myself again. Everyone is welcome. If you come across this channel at any time for any reason, you're welcome here. This is a space for suspending your disbelief and for stepping out of the realm of physical materialness and stepping into the good part of the internet for an hour, a part where we can use our imagination and wonder and joy, and we can dream board, and we can, connect our ideas together to make the world a better place. And this is my offering to you. This is my offering to the world. I have a lot of things to share, a lot of ideas of my own, and I have a lot of things that I could be doing, but I want to make this space to come out onto the internet and to make myself available and to share what I have with you. And I've been alive for quite some time now, not geologically speaking, but human experience speaking. Been here and there and seen things, and I got stories. So shall I? Yeah, I'm I'm very hermit. I'm a triple Virgo, Virgo Sun, Virgo Rising, Virgo Mercury. Mercury rules Virgo. So I am a student, a lover of truth, and lover of the mystical goodness of the world, earth element. I like to eat my veggies. I like to sit in the sun and to play guitar next to a stream and to dance and sing and play and twirl in the meadow, and these sort of things. And, we have an interesting time in this world where, I live in a small town, not very close to any big cities. And, in order to have connection, I come online. And at the same time, I don't know, we're just living in this bipolar, organic, technological, paradigm where we have to kind of bridge that gap and find out how to use both of those technologies to their best potential. And it's very interesting. Creator made us according to its design. We are the way we are for some reason that we don't necessarily know, according to sacred geometric proportions, 4 fingers in the thumb, 10 fingers, 10 toes sort of thing. Fibonacci sequence, golden mean, spiral, etc. And yet at the same time, we're blessed with the faculties of intellect and thinking that we can interact with our environment and theoretically make it better, right? And can we improve upon the given design of the universe? Should we try? Or is it this kind of like archaic revival, as Terence McKenna would say, and us like forsaking all of these technological marvels and just going back to the plains of Africa and eating mushrooms and dancing in the bush sort of thing? Maybe that's the best solution. Maybe the best solution is for us to burn down Babylon and go live in the forest and wander around and harvest the things on the ground, So somewhere in there is the truth. I think technology is cool, and I think we should use it to the best of our ability. My position is that technology is inherently neutral, and can be used for good, can be used for bad, and it's up to us to kind of implement it. But having said that, I think in mainstream world, like, nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody freaking knows what they're doing for the most part in the mainstream world. They're running around, chickens with their head cut off, sending faxes, sitting in cubicles. Yes, sir. No, sir. Up, sir. Down, sir. Left, right. Text. And what is the point? How are we making the world a better place with all these faxes and emails and cubicles and so forth? And the reality is that for the most part, they're not. It's my firm belief that 90+% of all the jobs that people do, as far as the formal employment sector, do not need to be done. And the world would probably be a better place if they were not done. Um, all these people with their, workday grind, traffic jams, etc., doing things that don't really need to be done, and just consuming, mindless consumption. And how nice it would be if we had, and like, people have this fantasy that government is basically providing the framework for, they know what the plan is, right? And we don't need to know what the plan is. Just keep your nose down and do your work, sort of thing. And then you start looking at how these institutions act, and you're like, wait a minute, either they don't have any plan and we're flying, no one's behind the wheel, sort of thing, or which is appears to be the correct analysis, they're actively satanic, and that their plan is to harm you, and that every day that you go to work and you contribute to the matrix, and every fax that you send and every email that you send and every cubicle that you sit in is actively participating in your own enslavement and demise. And people conceptually, like, kind of, they'll say, oh, yeah, Babylon, like, what are you going to do? Got to do what you got to do, sort of thing. But they don't realize that it is factually true, is you're contributing to your own demise when you do that. And like, no amount of harming yourself is going to make your life better, right? There is no amount of contributing to your demise that will actually make your life better. So if we could align on a common cause, even if it's something as, amorphous as heaven on earth, right? Then we could actually, then we're talking. Then we can actually, like, get somewhere. And so that's where I'm at with it. It's about manifesting heaven on earth. And what does heaven on earth look like? At least as far as society, it looks like people being nice to each other. It looks like people sharing. It looks like people honoring the earth and growing things out of it, and honoring the water and keeping it clean, and things like this. And actively helping one another, teaching, learning, play, smiling, laughing, joking, sharing, caring, hugging, niceties. And we can do that. We can get there. Most of the problems that we see in the world, come down to, like, these core, in the Krishna, I am much more comfortable with nobody in the room. I'm just talking to myself. Although I would like people in the room, like, that want to ask questions and direct the narrative. Like, I'm happy to go in any direction that people want to talk about. I have interesting things to say about all different subjects. Like, just put me on a track and let me go. I got you, fam. Like, I got you. Whatever you want to talk about, I got you. And now I lost track of my come hang out with me. It's Sunday afternoon. I want to hang out. Like, let's tell stories. And this is a kick it space. It's a kick it space. Like, I'm happy to share what I have. I'm happy to teach. I'm happy to learn. It's a kick it space. We got it. So this concept of heaven on earth is like abundance, joy, sharing. But then there's another wrinkle to it. Okay, so, like, if you live in the Western world, like, we've experienced a large amount of abundance our whole life. I have never been to the grocery store and there's nothing on the shelf. Like, it has always been the paradigm of, if you need food, you go to the store and it's there. And up until recently, most people I know have a roof over their head. And we have a large amount of abundance. And even with the homeless situation, it's my understanding that, I'm using dated statistics. I would like to know the current ones. But when I started sharing this analogy a couple years ago, it was like 3 million homeless people in America and like 60 million vacant houses because they build all these subdivisions. They sell it before they build it, sort of thing. And you have a bunch of empty ass homes in Las Vegas and Orlando and places like this. So the abundance is real, and everybody could have a home in this country if it wasn't for the inequitable distribution of homes by commercial banks, etc. So we can walk down that in a sec. I don't think it's going to blow anyone's mind for me to say that commercial and central banks are corrupt AF and are the problem. There's not really a bigger problem than corruption within central banks at this time in the world. Because they're even within the military industrial complex, it's the central banks and commercial banks that are funding them. And then you can go into mammon worship. You can go into, fiat currency. It's not backed by anything. You can go to the eye on the back of the dollar bill, etc. Someone's going to screenshot that and say I'm Illuminati or whatever. Nobody's allowed to wink on camera ever again for that reason. But anyway, we have the abundance. Overpopulation is a myth. Overpopulation is a myth. I think it bears repeating. They're spinning their wheels and with the fear porn and all that stuff. And hey, you want to talk about carbon emissions? You want to talk about greenhouse gases? You want to talk about loving the planet and stuff? What the are all those planes that go flying through the sky, leaving bolt clouds? All fuck it. I'm gonna swear. I don't give a care. I don't care. Authentic expression. Let's go. I use my words with intention. What the fuck are all these planes doing, going across our skies, leaving God knows what up there all day long, every day, especially in the cities. Especially one of the really interesting things I noticed when I traveled in Europe a couple years ago is I was in Serbia, clear skies. I crossed over into the Schengen zone, into Hungary. And as soon as I crossed into like the EU Schengen zone economic area, boom, sky trails, chemtrails, right? So yeah, so like the people who are proposing these solutions are talking out both sides of their mouth and all sides of their ass. If you really care about climate change, you really care about balance within the atmosphere of gases and carbon dioxide and oxygen. And as Anna von Reitz would say, and I'll talk about that when I get to sovereignty, because there's some interesting stuff going on within the States Assembly. It is not a surplus of carbon dioxide that is the main problem. It is a lack of oxygen. We need more oxygen in the atmosphere. Will help to balance out the climate, if you may. And also there's enough to show that climate, natural patterns, natural, whatever. The answer to that particular issue is the first, I'm not saying it's a complete answer, but the first step before you get to talk any bullshit about carbon emission taxes or offset swaps or any sort of thing that economically benefits the people who are implementing it, which is your first clue that it's bullshit. Hello, pharmaceutical companies. Is plant trees. Yeah, let's reforest the rainforest. How about that? No, then you can, and after that, if that doesn't work, which it will, then we can talk about other solutions. But if you don't, planting trees is the first step to improving the atmosphere in the environment. It's very dumb that people don't make that proper assessment. But it's very dumb that people don't make a lot of proper assessments about what's going on directly in front of their face. So that sucks. And I think those of us that are paying attention, that are aware, are starting to gain a new respect for what psychological warfare looks like. Fifth generation warfare, whatever they call it. What mass media mind control looks like. And you talk about people believing things that are you know, dumb. We've seen a lot of it in the last couple of years, and it is what it is. So that's that. Come hang out with me, people. Sunday afternoon, I want to hang out. Anyway, sovereignty is yours if you claim it. We'll transition into the sovereignty portion of the time. Sovereignty is yours if you claim it. You can claim it right now if you want it. Freedom, freedom of self-determination, freedom to exercise your free will anywhere and any way that you choose. Freedom to do evil if you choose. Someone's going to kick your ass if you do, though. That's karma. So don't. Do good. Use your free will. Exercise it. Understand I can do whatever I choose because I'm a sovereign divine being and I choose to do good. Right? That's awesome. Cool. There's some interesting stuff going on in the sovereignty sphere this week. I had an interesting call with the Colorado States Assembly. We had a very interesting webinar last week. I highly recommend the AmericanStatesAssembly.net and click onto the webinars tab. This one from the past week, from the 9th of January, has some information that is going to be challenging to digest. There is a recent report. In fact, maybe I can dig it up and link it in a moment once I finish what I'm saying. There's a recent report from the DoD, Department of Defense, that basically they knew about the thing the whole time and that they didn't do anything about it. They promoted it, not just the, but also the spike. And they did it intentionally, and that they had data before they ever started administering it, indicating that 1 in 40,000 people survived 7 years after taking the spike. Yeah, so that came out, and it's quite somber. And we've already seen, Anna was saying that, 7,500 people a day are dying in America because of the reaction of these things, and that already people are getting mad about the wrong things. Already, we have had in America more people perish to this agenda than 50 Vietnams. So, I had a hard time listening to that whole webinar this week. It was very challenging, and we should be vigilant, extremely vigilant and extremely focused and dedicated on bringing the people accountable to justice. And that's where my head's at. That's what I've been praying for. What that justice looks like, we can have a, court of public opinion. We can hold it in town square. I definitely think hanging from the neck until dead is an outcome that should be very carefully considered for the people who have orchestrated this situation. My personal favorite is that they should be put inside of a mirrored glass box in public view in Times Square, like a one-way mirror, so that they're stuck inside of a small glass box about the size of an average jail cell in America, because these are the people that have profited from the jail industrial complex of America. One-way glass, so everybody can observe them and they can be publicly held accountable. But the inside of their glass box that they get to live in is nothing but mirror. And they have to sit inside of a small mirrored box and look at themselves for the rest of eternity. That's my personal favorite, because I'm not in favor of that. I think if we have a choice to show mercy of thou shalt not kill sort of thing, all right, fine. They don't have to be executed. Let's put them into a mirrored box that they are never allowed to step out of for as long as they exist. I think that's fair. So anyway, that's what my vote goes for. But I'll go with the common will as far as this goes. But it has become clear. I can share that link. I tweeted it. I can share it in the chat here. I'll grab it here. It has become clear that the people that did this did it with malice aforethought and knew exactly what they were doing, and that they need to be held accountable with extreme prejudice. Let me grab the link. So you can read that article. There's a lot of other sources you can look to corroborate it. I've just been, since day one, almost 3 years ago now, I said, hey, this is bullshit. It's a mainstream media agenda. And I've read all sorts of studies, peer reviewed or otherwise, from all sorts of doctors, professors, virologists. We start talking about terrain theory versus germ theory and all these different things from all angles, and from the masking to the social distancing, which is just a psychological buzzword that nobody ever uttered before March of 2020, and all of a sudden people are talking about it like it's a thing. This is psychological warfare and mass manipulation. And how I can tell whether someone is a critical thinker or not is, do they watch television? Straight up, anybody that watches television needs to have their head examined. Like, um, it's just, and it's one of those things where you absorb the vibe of it, whether you're actively listening to it or not. So I hear people say like, oh, I watch the news. I know it's mostly bullshit, but like, I just want to stay informed or whatnot. You're not staying informed of anything useful by watching network news. No, it absorbs directly into your subconsciousness. Has been going on since the 50s. It's exactly what they're studying with the MK Ultra and stuff. It has to do with your brain waves. They're going straight past your critical thinking faculties and going directly into your subconsciousness. It's hypnotism, and so it's dangerous. So like, to the degree possible, if I walk into a room that has television on, especially network news or something, it is either turn the TV off or I'm turning around and I'm walking right away. And it's real funny. My parents didn't pick up on it. It's like Nico walks into the room, the TV is on. He does a 180 and walks out of the room and goes into the basement and does his own thing. And I'd be spending a weekend in my folks' house, and I wouldn't even be in the same room as them for more than 10 minutes because I got the TV on. You know, um, you know everyone wants to think that they're immune to mind control, um, while at the same time consuming it. Here's the deal: I am just as susceptible to mind control as anybody else, but you know who controls my mind? This guy, right? To the degree possible, and we're all somewhat asleep and we're all in the process of waking up, so it is on us to stay focused and to carry a high vibe and to be aware of our weak spots, and and to make our weaknesses our strengths. It's very easy to sit in your strengths and your aptitudes and you know be comfortable there, and comfort is the what is it? I'm probably going to misphrase it, but like, comfort is the thief of dreams or something like that. You have to be comfortably uncomfortable with life enough to stay motivated, enough to get up in the morning, enough to get out and get after it. Um, you know, I see too many people just stuck in comfort, and you get on that Wim Hof vibe of like, you jump into the icy river. You never feel more alive than when you jump into an icy river. You know, and I've been getting up real early in the morning. Like, I thought 5 was early enough, you know, and hitting a meditation first thing I roll out of bed, and that first, you know, I had a trip earlier this year, at a festival, and it was a great show. It was Tipper, um, and yeah, it's Tippers, Sonic Bloom. I don't know. I don't want to dox myself too hard, but I'm CO till the wheels fall off. So like, Colorado, we do good music, we do good vibes. Um, you can find me in the mountains. But anyway, you know, great vibe, and I'm tripping real good, like real tuned in, psyched up. And I'm looking at all the party people around me, and they're in their party vibe, and all I'm thinking, and I caught a, Tipper. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's with the vibe. It's, that's the type of hypnosis where you come out as a better human being. And that sort of stuff, as far as like eating up inspirational material, motivational material, that's where we should allow our mind to be controlled. When we give up our ego control of our mind, we allow Great Spirit in. And if Jah, Great Spirit, the Most High, wants to control my mind, I say go for it. Like, I'm your vessel, sort of thing. Um, but when Ha-Shaitan, the opposer, the adversary, the ego wants to control, I say, you draw boundaries or whatever. But anyway, I'm catching this vibe off a tip, or I'm catching this download, and I'm inspired. I'm like, we're gonna manifest heaven on earth. Let's fucking go, And I'm thinking about, my sensei. I follow Watson Fit on Instagram, and it's like it was given to me. It's like, this is your sensei. You need to do what he tells you to do, sort of thing. Like in the Shaolin monks or whatever. It's like you don't choose your guru. Like, you just meet them, and you have to do what they tell you to. And if they tell you to, to carry a bucket of water up the highest mountain without spilling a single drop, otherwise you got to start over, then that's what you do, sort of thing. And Wes Watson, his whole vibe, you can check it out. Like, it's interesting. Nobody's perfect. I see, we all have our things to work on. But as far as, anyway, he did 10 years in Cali State Prison, got on a self-improvement vibe, got on a manifestation vibe, got on a universal consciousness vibe, set his wake up time at 2:45 a.m., set his early morning workout, and proceeded and just kept a vibe of no backsteps ever. Like, hit the mark every single time. And he's gone 15 years and hit every single time. 2:45 wake up call, early morning workout, crushing it. And then he got released from prison with $200 gate money, living out of his parents, on a twin bed in his parents' spare room or whatnot. And within 4 years of being out, started a coaching business online, multimillionaire, penthouse in San Diego, just bought the Scarface pad in Rancho Hills or whatever in San Diego, and just balling completely out of control. And then, of course, still 2:45 every single morning. Check his Instagram every single morning, 2:45. Boom, there's the post. Boom, in the gym. Boom, getting it full power. And that's that thing about, like, not being comfortable, being comfortably uncomfortable, or vice versa. And so that's the vibe I'm on. We have to keep our foot on the gas. We have to, and especially when it comes to holding people accountable, it's about holding yourself accountable and being the highest version of yourself. And, also understanding that, like, we are the universe, the electromagnetic field, holographic universe principle, everything that goes on inside your heart, in the 0 point of your heart, emanates to every corner of the universe. Allah sees everything. Jah sees everything. You can't escape it. So that being the case, when you heal yourself, you heal the world, and that, as Wes Watson would say, the purpose of life is to heal yourself and teach others to do the same. So the heaven on earth vibe only works if everybody is healed, if everybody is healthy and happy and capable. As long as there's one person suffering in this world, we have work to do. As long as one person is enslaved or imprisoned, none of us can be free. And I think it's time for us to take a hard look at the prison industrial system. I think it's time for us to take a hard look at a lot of things. And these are the discussions we have in the American States Assembly, talking about filling our jural assemblies, standing up our common law courts, and issuing indictments and holding the people responsible for, these terrible atrocities that have come to light and are proven with patents and copyrights. And, you could read the DOD article that I posted, holding them accountable. So these are the type of discussions that we're having. And, the prison industrial complex is terrible. It's awful. I knew this would happen at some point, and I hope this is the only time that it would happen. I hope that it is. But, I did 2 weeks in county jail a couple of years ago when I was up at the Rainbow. I did nothing wrong. No living victim. No, whatever. It was a, commercial infraction or whatever, not having the tags on my private automobile that they said they should, and basically them saying, "Hey, slave, you've strayed too far from the plantation," and me saying, "Oh, excuse me, you're misaddressing me. I'm actually an American." Um, anyway, but getting to see that from the inside, just like really, I don't think people talk about it enough. I guess is what I'm saying. Is we as a community, how like this fantasy that America is the most progressive country or place on earth is like people need to really re-examine that. Largest prison population, the health spiraling out of control, it's the central bank inflation, the economy is just like unsustainable, inner city violence, I could go on and on. We're really at a challenging time. um, but in particular the prison industrial complex um, is very, very concerning. And I have a vision that one day, when enough of us get passionate enough about it, we're going to go to the jails, go to them, and surround them with peaceful people, and we're going to hold hands, and we're going to ohm for as long as it takes until we free everyone on Earth. You know, um, and that the transcendence in that moment will help to heal the hearts of uh of violent wounded of criminals and so forth. No, of course, I think there should be we're going to have a integration plan and so forth, but definitely like nonviolent drug offenders, cannabis users in particular, need to be free now. There is no reason for nonviolent cannabis users and nonviolent drug users in general to be in jail. Absolutely not. That needs to end immediately. And I think it's time for us as a nation and as a community to start taking a hard stance on some of these things. Same thing with the injection campaign. Same thing with the narrative about the thing over the last couple years. I have you know had to seek isolation because I could not continue relations that I had with people who were offended that I did not go along with the narrative and that I called it out from day one. It offended them. And it offended them because they know that they're wrong and and they're living in their comfort and they don't want to accept the fact that they need to change. Um, you know, in order to experience happiness. Hey, you don't have to change. You got free will, but you will suffer. You will suffer if you choose to conscious ignorance. And I'm taking the strong stance that I have out of love because I want to alleviate your suffering. Knowledge and understanding will alleviate your suffering, but more ignorance will not. It will make it worse in the long run. Um, in the Krishna, I was reading a Krishna book at a gathering one time, and it was saying um, ignorance. I think it was ignorance, greed, and lust are the three major devils, and then like in the Christian world, they have the seven deadly sins, which I think are fine as well, and they are a fine example of out of balance virtues. And if you look at it according to the tree of life tarot, kabbalistically, you have the 10 sephirah, but you also have the flip side of them, the 10 klifot, which is the out of balance version of the 10 emanations of energy. uh, but that's the conscious ignorance is one that just really offends me, and that one that I won't stand for, and I will challenge people, and I will cut them out of my life if they refuse to acknowledge it. And I have cut a number of people out of my life for that reason. Is like, listen, you have cause to know better, right? And if you didn't know better on your own, which you should, because I respect your thinking skills, or at least I did, um, you have cause to know now because I'm telling you. And I had a number of relationships where, with the narrative from the last couple of years, um, where I told them, this is a farce, this is a fraud, this is a crime happening in broad daylight. and we need to stand up against it. And these people, the ones that continued on with the narrative and so forth, it's like, okay, I'm gone. I said what I had to say. I had a moral obligation to speak my truth and to put it on a plate for you to process at your own pace. But if you're not able to pick it up when I put it down, then I'll leave you with it. You can digest it at your own pace, and when you're ready to come back with an apology, we can continue the relationship. Hi, Ma. So that's what it is, and I'm not angry. It's all love. I love you all very much. I really, 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 really do. In fact, more than you probably know. Um, you know, Real love is not it's not putting up with people's bullshit. Real love is telling people the truth when they don't want to hear it, helping them to discover their potential that they've pushed down. Helping people to find the courage to do the thing that's hard, you know. And so that I picked up that lesson from a lot of people. I got that message in the trip, that Watson Fit is my sensei. So I'm like, all right, homie, like, you showed the way. Now I gotta walk it. You gave me the blueprint. Now I gotta build the vision. You know. What's up, Hexwood? How we doing, homie? You my first chat. I've been talking to myself for the last like 6 weeks. I put on some good stuff like the last weeks. Like, you can go back and check it out. The first couple weeks I was working with some streaming software, OBS. If anybody knows some like good streaming software that's not going to like run my computer into the ground, I would like to hear. Because I had like the first couple weeks I was really hyped on it, and I was actually sharing my screen. I was like pulling up the states assembly stuff. I can pull up like sample correct your status documents of like how to return home from the presumption of territorial or municipal corporate U.S. citizen status to American state national or American state citizen status, which is of a higher order and returns you to protection of your constitutional and God-given rights. Um, I can go deep on the sovereignty stuff anytime you like. But I was pulling that stuff up. I was able to actually pull up crypto charts and do some technical analysis, stuff like that. I'm happy to talk crypto if anyone wants to talk about. I've been deep in the Darrow and the Hex communities the last 6 months or so. Those are the projects that have resonated with me the most. I got a couple others that I'm keeping my eyes on. Very happy to talk crypto if people want to talk crypto. I've the central banking system is coming down. It's coming down, and there's likely to be a hyperinflationary period. There's likely the supply chain stuff. I've been starting to think about supply chain and what that's going to look like in the coming years, and how we can start to gain control of it for people that are actually going to use it to their benefit and not just try to pimp the world, sort of thing. Um, for anybody that's in crypto, kind of like already knows that the mainstream system is destined to fail, that fiat, the US Federal Reserve note is deterministically going to zero uh, on a long enough time frame. Um, so we can have more nuanced conversations. For my friends and family that are a little bit more mainstream, I'm saying like, yo, if crypto is too complicated for yourself, physical silver. It's been price suppressed for 160 years. They're just trading paper silver on the markets, and there's not enough physical supply to back it up. So when the fix is busted, right, this shit's going sky high. That beach ball has been held underwater for a long, 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 long time. And when shit gets real, people want something they could hold. But um, having said that, thank you, Hexwood. Appreciate it. Send it. Bring in the fam. Like, let's have a discussion. At some point when I get streaming software going, I would love to like bring other people on and be able to have a multifaceted conversation, this sort of thing. But for now, let's keep it real in the chat, and you know, be productive. So anyway, the way I've put it on previous streams, that like easy mode, get your hands on physical silver and chill. Little more thoughtful mode is cryptocurrency is the best performing asset in human history, and we're at a time where things are like, they're printing money to infinity, and yet the economic indications are that the mainstream economy is basically uh, primed for a faceplant. So like there's a lot of potential there, and so there's a lot to unpack when it comes to the crypto world. And then the next level is like actually digging into the protocols and reading the contracts, understanding what they do, understanding the privacy and security aspects, those sort of things, which I've really resonated with the Darrow project on that. The homomorphic encryption is fucking fire. It's super cool. And I'm learning Golang to be able to read and write it a bit better, and also doing a little bit of Solidity, learn the EVM, learning the EVM language, and also the DVM, the Darrow virtual machine language. How'd you come in here, Hexwood? Are you off a? How'd you get in here? I want to know like what's working. You got Hex in your name. Are you from the Hex community? Anyway, I do like Hex. The first I got plugged into Hex off of a connection on Telegram, which normally like don't believe anything you hear on Telegram. But then I watched a bunch of Richard Hart interviews, and he was the first person in crypto that I heard say, I want to make the world a better place, and where I actually believe them. And, after watching enough of his streams, I was like, well, called the top on the day, called out enough scams, called out centralized exchanges, Luna, Celsius, BlockFi, FTX, all these things, advocated for self-custody. Oh, Hexagon True Earther, say word. Yeah, we're starting to get a little bit of a discrepancy between like the mainstream Hexagons and the Hexagon True Earthers. Like that is low key one of my favorite Telegram channels at this point. Like really digging it. Okay, I mean, you want to talk some True Earth stuff? Like I think where I'm at with it, and just like this is the dream hour, so just like open your mind with me for a sec. Have you read the Illuminatus trilogy, or are you familiar with this book? If you have, awesome. If you haven't, I highly recommend. Robert Anton Wilson, just great author. Just Illuminatus trilogy, probably my favorite book of all time. In honesty, it's so good. Pick it up. It's great. It's great. Anyway, long story short, like a ragtag group of pot smoking hippies go on a psychedelic adventure to uncover the Illuminati and foil a plan to have a rock concert in Bavarian Germany to reanimate a bunch of dead Nazi soldiers and take over the world. And shenanigans happen. And they ride in a golden submarine, and they're aided by telepathically speaking dolphins, and they recover relics of lost Atlantis, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's really wild style, because it's like the never ending story or whatever. It's like I've had moments on my journey where I'm like, yo, I think I'm in the Illuminatus trilogy. Like I think so like one of the climactic scenes happens in Ingolstadt, Germany, in Bavaria, southern Germany. And when I was traveling in Europe, now that I have an audience, dude, I could go off. I could tell you, I did a backpacking trip through Europe. I was intended on being there for 2 or 3 months. I ended up burying my passport, burying all my cards. I traveled with no papers and no money for a year and a half, and just like hitchhiking and riding the rails, manifestation journey the whole time, psychedelic adventures, like full on. And and it was all about like developing a spiritual connection, developing faith, developing understanding the flow of the universe. Like like I said, no papers, no money. I had nothing. I buried it in a field in Portugal, and I traveled for 15 months after that without any money. And the only reason I ever even got I went to at the end, I ended up going to the embassy, and I was able to get a passport without giving them a social security number because I didn't want to give them presumption that I was filling the shoes of the straw man, the sovereignty part, the straw man corporate all caps name fiction. Uh, quick historical tidbit. In ancient Rome, you could tell the class of a person by the way they styled their name. So all lowercase was senators, upper lowercase camel casing was regular people, citizens or whatever, and all capital name was slaves. So anytime you get a government form with the all caps name, they are addressing you as a slave. Um, so anyway, and it all goes to Rome. If you look at there on the quarter, the eagle that's holding the like bundle of sticks with the like axe head sticking out of it, that's known as a fasces, and which is associated with fascism, and is an indication that our country is a thinly veiled, basically front for the Holy Roman Empire, which is neither holy nor Roman nor an empire. Even go a little bit deeper. What was the original name of Washington D.C.? Anyone? Original name of Washington D.C. was Rome, Maryland. And you want to talk about international person trafficking, small person trafficking, et cetera, bloodletting, sacrifice, et cetera. We can go deep on that, but maybe here is not the forum. So in any case, during my travels, I found myself in Ingolstadt, Germany, where the climax of the Illuminatus trilogy happened. And I ended up having an encounter on the train with the so-called authorities, the train police or whatever. And I hadn't, I had no passport or anything. And they were like, well, we're going to take you to jail. And I like stood my ground. I like stood in my power. And I told him, I was like, listen, we've harmed no man. I'm aligned with universal law. I've done nothing wrong. And I'd like to go about my way safely, please, and I'm going to go about my way safely. I'm not even asking you for permission. You do not have the authority to give me permission to do anything, sort of vibe. And it was very tense for a moment, and we thought I was going to German jail for a sec. And then they got back on the train and they left. And I'm looking with my homies, and we're standing on the platform, by ourselves. It starts raining just a little bit. And it was late in the afternoon, sun's coming through, raining, like sun showers, whatnot. And I look over on the horizon, boom, rainbow. Sign from the universe. So this is, right there in Ingolstadt, Germany, right where this happened in the book. So anyway, tangent. In the book, there's this international smuggler, basically a crypto dude. Hagbard Celine, he's one of the main characters, and they're cruising around in a golden submarine, or like a yellow submarine, if you will, sort of thing, going this, there, that, and the other. But anyway, back to like the true Earth vibe. I have a suspicion, and it is my intention, that once we have balanced out the forces and achieved peace on Earth and help people heal and become healthy, that we're going to be taking a trip up to the darn North Pole in a golden submarine to visit Mount Meru and see and drink from the living waters and ride the Rainbow Bifrost Bridge and see where that takes us. And so that's the vision. And so for now, we're just training. This is every day is training day. And so that's cool. And for as completely loony as something like that makes me seem to like mainstream people, if you can see it in your mind's eye and you can feel it in your heart, then go for it. So we're manifesting something that just like is on another level. So and once you dig into it and you actually like break the mind control enough to see what's going on. Yeah, good. I mean, we're all reflections of the infinite divine. We're all creator spirit, and we all have our own, beautiful, amazing path, and we're all accentuating each other's dream, sort of thing. So yeah, fuck yeah, dude. More power to you. Blessings. Like enjoy your blessings. enjoy your ride, enjoy your travel. I got you. I'm sending you good vibes. Let's go. Um, you know, we're doing it all together, and it's all the infinite daydream sort of thing. You know, I'm curious. Like, I have a couple ideas. Like, there are I do believe not only in firmament Earth, if you will, but also like inner Earth, like that there are cities inside of the Earth, and probably I think you talk about these deep underground military bases, the DUMBs. Black hat, white hat. I'm sure there's some vile places inside the Earth that really have needed to be cleaned very badly. And I think there are also some beautiful crystal cities inside the Earth, sort of thing. Journey to the center of the Earth, sort of vibe. Um, and I'm kind of I'm curious about that. I have a feeling that you go to the North Pole and Mount Meru and the four great rivers and drink from the living waters and the whole thing, and that you can enter the Earth there, and that there are crystal cities and higher dimensional beings there. And I've had some experiences with some like higher dimensional beings, and we have overtones. The sacred geometry, and between dimensions there's going to be 12 overtones. There's 12 notes of music, and then the 13th is the next octave. And so because of the sacred geometry of it, it's the same way with dimensions of vibration. Is we've got our baseline reality, third dimension, if you may, and then you got your overtones in between. And we modulate our vibe based on our thoughts and our actions, and we can traverse between these overtones. And I definitely have had some high vibe moments, some psychedelic moments in public, like when I like tripping at a show or whatever. I had one a couple years ago. I had one last year, where you get to this vibe where you're looking around, and all the people, you can just tell they're not normal 3D people. You're like, oh, y'all are like star seeds. Like y'all are like came from a little bit of a different vibe. And it's inspiring, to see what we can be and what we could be, and what we're likely going back to. And energy is not created or destroyed. And I think we're basically, it's my feeling that an honorable death is the reward for a life well lived. So if we do our work and we raise our vibe and we improve our condition and we do the best we can in life, which took me a long time to learn, that we try to make it so complicated. It's really so simple. Do your best. If we do that, then we can be rewarded with a graceful and peaceful death, and that we can go to wonderful places once our spirit is freed from 3D physical reality body. And that's something worth fighting for, worth working for. Fight to me means give everything you've got, put your all into. It's not necessarily combat. But that's the vision. And that's kind of what this channel is about, is just beaming out that vibe to the world. And if I can have a connection with you today, Hexwood, like share the vibe and get it on out there, and send it on out. And this is my opportunity to spend some time and to give of myself each week, in offering, of the vision and of my vibe and clarification, and receive some input from others. What do you think? Like, what kind of golden submarine should we take to the North Pole? What will it look like? What will they have in the crystal city inside of the Earth when we get there? What exactly, maybe, what are the names of the four rivers that let out at Mount Meru at the top? Like, what is the mythology behind that? What is the history? One of my favorite uh, images to show people when they talk about, like, wanting to believe the ball Earth, NASA bullshit, is the one where it shows, and like I wish I could share my screen right now. But is the one that shows like all the different cultures, like visions of the world, and they're all like a dome Earth firmament model, except for NASA. And there's like 25 like other cultures that all basically said the earth was earth is on the back of a turtle or the back of an elephant, or waters above, waters below, that whole thing. And we're the only culture that came up with this ridiculous ball thing that's not backed by science. Water always finds its level, etc. NASA fakery, etc. um not a space agency, Satan without the T, whatever. I can't even with them. It's such comedy. What or if you're gonna use computer generated imagery, why don't you at least make it good? Why are you gonna release images of the official images that NASA has released of Earth over the last 50 years? There's like 10 of them, and they're all completely different. The images they show, first of all, I mean, they're like, it's my understanding there is no single image showing the entire Earth from quote unquote outer space. It's photoshopped, but it has to be. That's a direct quote from NASA engineer. It's photoshopped, but it has to be. In order to go back to the moon, we're gonna have to find a way to get. In order to go to Mars, we're gonna have to find a way to get past the Van Allen belts. Da, 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 da. Well, genius, how did you do it in 1969 when you quote unquote went to the moon, right? Um, it's all composite images, and you see the one where they like they take the same clouds and then they move it over here. Squatterman, torus field. Yeah, I think the toroidal field is one of the major keys to it, and understanding that we are a toroidal field. Our heart emanates a toroidal field. We have a Merkaba field as well. They're kind of interpenetrating. We have the tip of our Merkaba is about one hand length above our head, and the bottom is about a hand length below. And that through breath work and meditation, we can get the Merkaba. There's actually three. There's a sun, moon, and a neutral, like a light, dark, and a neutral Merkaba interpenetrating, occupying the same space. One spins to the left, the other spins to the right, and the third stays neutral. It's all in the ancient secret of the flower of life, and that through meditational practices, we can get this spinning at approximately the speed of light, and our energy gets to such a high vibe that we can leave our physical body and theoretically leave this dimension. I've had experiences with the Merkaba meditation where the vibe was going so strong that I could feel it building like a ball of energy in my navel, in my second chakra, in the sacral, and my arms and legs were buzzing, vibrating. They were buzzing so hard that I was numb from the shoulder down. I was looking at my hands in front of me, and I literally couldn't feel them. And I went to touch myself just to check in with the reality. And when I did, I gave myself an electrical shock. Um, and that was one of the first times um, that was one of the first times it really confirmed to me that this, the vibrational electromagnetic model of reality, as far as, and our ability to interact with it in consciousness, is real and is true. And that if we develop our faculties, we can vibe out of our bodies and, remote viewing or travel to higher levels or different dimensions and whatnot. Just like we might in a dream, and then you get to the thing of like, is waking life a dream or is dreams a dream? Maybe dreams are the real reality of us, of unbounded consciousness, of not having the physicality of a physical body. And, and then you get into this like light sun, black sun thing. Like maybe we're in the underworld and we're actually, dead, and we're daydreaming, because we're never fully awake. Even in waking consciousness, we're only as awake as our ability to perceive our environment. And that the real reality is in the underworld. And this is what I mean about going to the magnetic mountain and going into the inner earth, and that our light sun that we're familiar with above our head is balanced by a black sun in the underworld. And the black sun is our subconsciousness that we might meditate or pray to manifest in reality. And that when you enter into this space, it's a space of perpetual twilight, because the light sun above our head is shining through the aperture at the North Pole and reflecting over the dome of the underworld where the black sun is, and that this creates a land of perpetual twilight where you taste neither sleep nor death. That's a model that makes a lot of sense to me. Um, you know, and it's all about waking up. It's all about remembering. It's all about connection to the moment. I think about like fasting. You take a break from food, and our consciousness, we hit a higher vibe if you've taken a long fast. you know you you it's really amazing to a lot of people how, you know after the second or third day of a fast, you just kind of hit cruise control and you just feel great. You're like, I haven't ingested food for energy. Why do I feel so good? Really good book called We Do Not Die, and also a book called, I think it's called We Eat to Die, by Hilton Hotema. I read these while I was traveling, basically saying that yes, we do get some amount of nourishment, some prana from food, but especially now in Western culture, like it's so much, especially packaged food, is like devoid of the nutrients that it should have. So we have to eat more of it than we otherwise would. Um, but also that by eating physical food, it causes our stomach and other organs to work, and they get tired. And so it's this digestion process that largely causes our cells to mutate when they replicate, which can cause chronic diseases and also causes us to become tired. And so that, people, when they reach a higher vibration, they become more able to absorb the prana that they're receiving, whether from food, whether from juice, whether from water, or directly from the air, directly from the sun, or directly from source, just from the field. And you talk about people, breatharians, people that don't ingest physical food. Like when I've taken long fast, it's crazy. You get past that third day or so, and you're just like, I feel great. I don't feel like I ever need to eat again, sort of vibe. Um, so and it makes you tired. And like, for instance, working on my computer, like doing programming or just learning in general, you can only work on your computer so long, and you get exhausted. And talking, like I can feel myself, is like, you have a long ass conversation, you get exhausted, you're spending energy. um, so this idea that, like, when we hit a high vibe, and it's also the flip side is like, time flies when you're having fun. When you're having fun with your friends and you're doing something that you really enjoy, hours can pass and you never get tired, and you're just so into it. Like, some of these festivals, you need to like remind people, like, yo, sleep at least once this weekend, please. Like, sort of vibe. And we can live that way. We can live in a way where we're so engaged with life and our community and the things that we're doing, and when we're so exposed to high vibrational situations, uh, good clean water, fresh air, sunshine, inspiration, that we don't need what we think we do. So, like, as far as people, prepping for apocalyptic situations and whatnot, is like, A, careful what you wish for, right? What kind of future do you want to try to manifest? And B is like, the reality is you don't need it. Like, you know, biblically speaking, it's like, I think it's in Matthew, somewhere in there. It's like, don't worry about what tomorrow may bring. Don't worry about what you'll eat or what you'll wear or where you'll stay tomorrow. Let tomorrow's concerns be for tomorrow. And Jah will provide for today. Great Spirit will provide for today. And that was something I learned when I was traveling, is the manifestation is like, yo, just keep a good vibe. Something good will happen. And my travel partners, like, I would talk to them. I'd be like, yo, we're hitchhiking a long ass way and we have no money, and we just got to make it work. So the most important thing is that we keep up a good vibe, because something good will happen if we keep up a good vibe. And time after time and after time again, it just happens, until the point where, like, you don't want to expect it, because then you fuck with the energy, but you know that it's going to happen. So just try to act surprised, sort of thing. So, oh, cool, thank you, you gave me just what I needed, just when I needed, thank you so much. you know um so Jah will provide. Like, my contingency plan, if it's necessary, is to go into the woods and wander around and eat moss or mushrooms or whatever, and use it as an opportunity to connect with nature, sort of thing. So we'll see. Not sure if that's going to be necessary. We'll see what happens. The more that we can raise awareness and help people to tap into their true potential, help them to start creating a good vibe, help to, sage out some of these inner cities. I think, I'm with Anna in the States Assembly when I think that Washington D.C. should probably be burnt to the ground. Um, you know, and certain places there's not enough sage for. We'll put it that way. Uh, you know, should it? Yeah. Um, but like the more that we can get out ahead of our problems and address them vibrationally before they manifest into physical reality, the more that we can alleviate that suffering, um, you know, in advance. And that's something that I'm tuned into, is like the more that I can do my personal work and be the best that I can be day after day, I'm helping heal the world, because everyone, like, my vibe hits every corner of the universe, and that's my work to do, and that's my responsibility to do, and I have to own it. you know and that's the biggest conspiracy in the entire world, in my opinion, after looking at it all, is dogmatic atheism, basically, which is a I bet a synonym for Satanism, basically. If you don't believe in Great Spirit, if you don't believe that there's a force of goodness in the world, then by default you basically believe in evil, believe in chaos, or nothing matters, nothing I do matters, so why even try, sort of thing, and all sorts of wrong thinking comes out of that. Um, and that's that I see people just using every excuse in the world to not take accountability for themselves in their own situation. um, and my only recourse to that, you can't tell someone something like that. You have to show them. So my only recourse to that is to be the best that I'm capable of being, and that's a stiff challenge. um, I know what I'm capable of. I know what we're all capable of. I know how I've fallen short in the past. Feel very much like Sisyphus in that space of like, do your balls out best today. Give everything you have, and then do it again tomorrow, and then continue forever, forever, forever. But it's one of those things where like restraint builds strength, and discipline builds strength, and discipline builds character. So we should enjoy the challenge and accept it with honor, and then we become a better person, and then um, it opens the possibility for our dreams to manifest. you know if you have every right in the world, if you want, to sit on your couch and play video games till you're old and gray and let your whole life go past. um, but you I don't want to do that. I did that for enough years, and no more. I'm done. I'm gonna do something awesome with my life instead. um, I'm going to do the most awesome thing that I can think of with my life instead. I think we're going to manifest heaven on earth, and then we're going to go have a massive ohm around the magnetic mountain at the North Pole and see if we can ascend our entire human family into the heavenly realms all at once, together, all together. So, I pray that every soul that wants to make it through this time and wants to make it to the higher vibration space in health and happiness and balance and abundance will have the opportunity to do so, and that the path for that is in front of them. For those that choose conscious ignorance and take what's given to them, and don't choose the sovereignty of their divine truth, a lot of them have already passed from this realm in recent months and years, and it's because every time they had the opportunity to show that courage and to stand up for something greater, they didn't. And we honor them. It's terribly sad if you let it be, if you go to a place of sadness with it, what has happened, and the people that have passed for lack of knowledge and for ignorance over this agenda that has happened in the last couple of years, and that really goes back thousands of years. This, Babylonian, Phoenician, Baal, Moloch, Mammon, garbage, nonsense, piracy, nonsense. And we call upon, the Great Spirit and Yahovah, the Most High, the source of all that is good within us, and love and gentleness and kindness and generosity and truth and justice, to bring these things into balance for the greatest good so that we can all be so happy. I have on one of my profiles, I think it's on my Twitter profile, my favorite prayer, to offer that I picked up while I was traveling. It's Sanskrit. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. It means, may all the beings in all the worlds be happy. So, I do think about the people that have done these terrible things willfully and, thought that they would gain some sort of benefit out of it, how deeply lost in ignorance they must be to think that. And, I talk about that punishment of them having to spend the rest of their existence in a small mirrored glass box and having to look at themselves for the rest of time, and in an attempt to come to terms with who they are and what they've chosen to be, and how appropriate of a punishment I think that is. And just understanding, like, there is mercy at play, but that mercy is to come from the Most High. It's for us to find justice. On the tree of life, Kabbalistically speaking, there's a pillar of mercy and there's a pillar of severity, and it's the balance between these that shows us the way. So I pray for justice. I pray for peace, and I pray for love and kindness and gentleness. And for each of us to experience our heart's desire incrementally as we go along our path, and as we put our best self into the world, that it reflects its best self back to us, and these sort of things. So very much have enjoyed having this conversation. This has been fun. I feel like that's kind of a good place to leave it for now. We kind of touched all the bases. I would like to talk a bit more about like crypto stuff. Like we got some Hex True Earthers in here. I don't know. How are we feeling about Hex right now? There's like some dissent in the community, people throwing stones. Here's where I'm at with it. This idea of an ERC20 as a store of value. How do we feel about that? You're basically taking a leveraged position on the Ethereum chain, which is susceptible to these OFAC compliance. It's susceptible to these MEV, maximum extractable value attacks, and so forth. It's susceptible to malicious validators and so forth. It's susceptible to Ethereum hegemony of Ethereum whales doing what they want. So to break it down a little bit more, like, I do like the Hex model. I like the idea of monetizing the value of time, of paying your future self for having discipline today. I like the knowledge that Richard Hart has often offered. I like his self-help books. I like his those sort of things. I don't mind the outrage marketing. I understand that it's serving a purpose, and that getting the most eyeballs is a good thing. I would like to hear him speak more about making the world a better place, and focus less on how many followers do I have, and why are you pandering to people that you don't like and don't respect? Why are you trying to get the attention of the mainstream crypto world? Fuck them. Why don't you just double down on honoring the people that have invested in you, and fucking building up the Hexagon community to being an unstoppable force of just being amazing? If you're having a capital deployment problem, which he talks about from time to time, why don't you start buying up all the farmland and giving Hexagons a place to stay and to build stuff, and to take that position away from someone like Bill Gates buying up all the farmland, who definitely intends to do nefarious things with that. These sort of things, and it's a evolving conversation, and I would very much like for some of these ideas to get to his ears so he can understand, like, yo, we support you. You were one of the first people to actually say truthful things about crypto and to really help and save people, help people understand the importance of self-custody and trustless yield and stuff like that, that's all awesome. We support you and we love you for that. And you're a real person. So that's awesome. Like we want, you're the people's champ of crypto to a large degree. But we want the narrative to remain on making the world a better place. And we wish that you would focus a bit more on the people that are with you than getting involved into other things. So then we have this concept of, is an ERC20 a good store of value? You have this Zen crypto that came out, which I just think the tokenomics are pretty bad on it. It's got trillions of tokens of supply. It's basically a tax on gas. It encourages, unthoughtful use of the Ethereum chain, which is already too expensive, even in a bear market. And the inflation doesn't calm down until like 8 years from now. So like, by then, what will the supply be like? The tokenomics are bad. And one of the main things that really soured me on the Zen project, well, it's cool, like, mass adoption and, giving people a low cost way to participate in the ecosystem, even though it benefits like Ethereum miners and validators disproportionately the most, was that Jack Levin said basically he had the capability to not allow it to be bot mined to infinity, and he chose to allow it. I'm like, bro, if it's about mass adoption, put in some sort of regulation on it that you can only print one wallet per 24 hours, or one wallet per person per IP address or something, and that he had the capability of doing that and didn't. And now it's my understanding that 50+% of the supply is owned by Chinese bot farms. Okay, cool. You're making the world a better place doing that. Like, not feeling it, bro. And now you're putting in all sorts of like ZenFT extra game theory to burn off the supply that you printed by having bad game theory. So anyway, rant over. Like, I minted some of it, but I haven't bought any on the open market, and I really don't intend to. I just, unless the inflation curve, no, I mean, it's like, it's all owned by Chinese bot farms. So I'm going to buy into that so they can dump on my head. No. Anyway, the one that is more interesting is the Pulse Bitcoin. That's kind of cool. Like, I have some ASIC miners going. I'm mining Pulse Bitcoin. It's got a limited value. It's got a, time monetization of time value, like, pretty cool marketing, like, etc. And I like the idea of any ERC20. What I prefer actually is, I like the Hedron Icosa stuff. I like the fact that I'm, staked up and you're able to monetize that. I like the fact that it opens up some arbitrage plays on Hex. I missed that bottom on Icosa. I'm a little salty about that. 27 cents would be looking real juicy right now. But I did pick up some Deci. I do like the perpetuals. I picked up some Hex last year. I started buying it around 15, 18 cents, something like that. I'm a long-term holder, so like whatever, I'm stoked, cool, and I staked it up and held it, and then they came out with the perpetuals, and I'm like, oh man, I would love some of that bigger pays better bonus. So I think the game theory, I like the Deci pool. It's got the biggest bigger pays better. It's got a ton. I mean, you can compare them. Who's got the most and who's going to make the most yield. I like the Deci pool. I was really digging the team token. I thought that was cool because I have a little bit staked as well. I was really digging the team token. I like the idea of having a yearly dividend paid out in Hex, Hedron, and a little bit of each of the perpetuals with the maxi bonus in years 3, 6, and 9. That sounds pretty sweet. Also, it's deflationary. Sounds pretty sweet. Although I was reading the smart contract last week, and I don't know if people realize this, but 50% of the supply went into the team mystery box, which is basically the OA. So like they basically paid themselves half of the contract on deployment, which I don't love. I would love to, like, I was thinking about maybe shooting that question over to Dipcatcher and seeing if you wanted to seeing if he wanted to address it. Why team? A little bit about the tokenomics of team and why we should buy it. Hex on ETH POW, I like. I think I'm in the camp that hex is hex, and that getting trustless yield on assets that remain in your own custody is great. I like the fact that it's cheap. I like the fact that I can grab T-shares. All that tokenomics is likely to remain the same. I like the fact that that bigger players in the regular hex ecosystem are more likely to not mint their hedron. They're more likely to not they're more likely to let their stakes expire and things go unclaimed and stuff like that. People are not as paying as close attention to that. So I think there's a lot more upward mobility in hex on ETH POW as well as Ethereum Fair. And yeah, it sure feels nice to have hundreds of thousands of hex on a small chain rather than a smaller amount of hex on Ethereum. Yeah, ETH. I mean, so all right, so what Richard said about ETH POW and about ETH Fair, which I think is fair, is that for a smaller proof of work chain, you're going to be more susceptible to 51% attacks and Sybil attacks. So I think there's more security issues there. But for a small player that's looking to get involved at a cheap price, hex is hex. So get your T-shares, get them staked up. See what happens. I think if hex on ETH does well, hex on those other chains will do well as well. One of my and then also, all right, I'll come back to it, but I think the next big narrative for Ethereum is going to be this EIP 4844, the sharding or the dank sharding, as well as the integration of some new L2s, your Optimism and Arbitrum. So I've been doing some quests on Optimism and Arbitrum as far as trying to get involved in some airdrops and stuff like that. They're cheap. They use ETH as their gas unit, and you can do transactions for 10, 20 cents or whatever. I think they're likely to port over some reasonable DeFi trustless yield LPing situations over there. Speaking of which, as well, I think LPing over on ETH POW and ETH Fair is pretty fine. The Optimism Arbitrum, zero knowledge stuff is going to be an increasing narrative in Ethereum. And I think that's going to likely drive some of this horizontal scaling with Ethereum. I like what Richard has to say about this. Hey, McDonald's is a fine business model. It's not. I mean, it's based on murder and yuck. But if there's too much traffic at one store, you just build a store across the street. You build a store, if one is not enough to service the whole town, you have two and you have five and you have 10 until there's a Starbucks on every corner. And then people get sick of Starbucks and then they go to another whatever coffee shop. Like there's enough. The pool is big enough for all the fish to swim, sort of thing. And I think as far as that goes, we're way early. One of my biggest stark realizations about crypto last year was, I kind of bought the top in 2021 because I saw what was happening in the mainstream economy. I said these central banks are fucked, and it was real bullish then. And I think that's kind of rite of passage for anyone to get involved in a new market is you think but you have no idea until you're down bad. And then you got to wait for it to get bullish again, sort of thing. But I had good reasons for everything I did. And, I feel good about my position now, and you live and learn, and it's all good. But one of my biggest realizations during my first year of crypto was this tech is not very good. I was, I was messing around with, some smaller chains and, Cardano, everyone talking about Cardano, their Galaxy Brains, biggest thing in the world, and they know what they're doing, whatever. And they opened their new DEX, Sunday Swap, and I booted up a Cardano wallet. I put, $10, $20 on there, and I went over and I'm going to do a swap or two. and it sucked. It sucked so bad. It just didn't work. It just didn't work at all. And here we are, a full year and a half later, and it still sucks. And they still have no product, and they're not doing anything. So, um, you know, I don't know. I think they're trying to do too much with it. I think they kind of like we're trying to reinvent the wheel by writing Cardano in Haskell when they didn't necessarily have to. If they pull a rabbit out of the hat and create something awesome, sure, maybe, but like I need to see a working product out of Cardano before I can, and also like we'll see with Hoskinson. I think like we'll see. I've heard the stories. I think he presents himself pretty well in interviews, and it makes you think, well, maybe he's all right. But then and I don't know if it was just mudslinging of people at Ethereum that were bitter when he left, talking smack about him. But I've heard the stories, so like I reserve judgment. If he is able to put together a good thesis about how to make the world a better place and present working technology, then I could be interested. Um, we'll see. He's right up there in CU and in Boulder, I believe. He was up in Wyoming, but like I don't know. I actually did some computer science at Boulder. They have a very good computer science program, um, so they have some brain power there. I'll believe it when I see it, sort of thing. But yeah, like I said, I've been digging into Go a little bit, into Solidity a bit, trying to learn the EVM a bit, the layer twos. I'm just gonna say it, Phantom. I like Phantom. I think they've got brain power, and it's a chain that works. It's pretty cheap. They've already got a pretty well developed DeFi ecosystem. The prices have been pretty low. I don't know. I don't think the bottom is in the macro. There's too much bullshit going on with the central banks and with them raising rates and all this stuff. And what I've seen is actually the last couple times there's been a big crash was like several months after the Fed pivot. So when the Fed starts lowering rates, it might even be a couple months after that we see a real crash, sort of thing. But the macro is too yucky for this to be the real bottom, I think. Now, could we have an extended rally that sees Bitcoin go up towards 30K or whatever? Could be. Could be. Right now it's testing the 200. I wish I could pull up a chart. It's testing the 200 on the daily. What I noticed yesterday, people are getting all bullish again. What I noticed yesterday looking at the Bitcoin chart is that the 200 EMA is crossing below the 50 EMA on the weekly chart for the first time ever. That's known as a death cross, folks. That is not bullish. So we'll see. And if you're Hexagon true earther, you're not a Bitcoiner, that's for sure. Yeah, Bitcoin sucks. It's so funny. You get this stratification within the crypto sphere. You got Bitcoin maxis, and then you got people that actually are paying attention who are just laughing at them the whole time. And then you got mainstream people who are noobs who just buy Bitcoin because they don't know any better. So like every time Bitcoin pumps, I'm like, oh, more dumb people entering the market. Cool. And also, they've got enough leverage and derivatives and stuff going on in Bitcoin that they're playing their central bank whale games with it, and they can manipulate the whole market. Bitcoin's the biggest fish in the sea, so they can toss the market up and down. At some point, those people will all migrate into better projects. They'll migrate down to Ethereum. They'll migrate towards Hex and other things that are truly decentralized. There is one narrative that I would mention as far as decentralization DeFi goes, and that is the Reggie Middleton lawsuit against Circle USDC, which is ongoing. He also sued Coinbase. Basically, he's punching up at anybody who has infringed on his patented technology, which is peer-to-peer transfer, which is basically DeFi. And he's been awarded these patents, and I think he's got a good claim to it. And I think everyone kind of knows that sooner or later there will be some real stablecoin issues. And talking about centralization or shady organizations behind the scenes that are manipulating things, I think USDC, USDT, at some point we as a community are going to realize that they're not the answer. um, so that's likely to happen at some point. Reggie's coin Veritasium. So the thing I like, yeah, BTC sideways. Yeah, like the fundamentals for why Richard called for an 11K bottom on Bitcoin, I don't think have changed. The Mt. Gox coins still need to be sold, even though they're coming out less all at once than they thought they would. The Grayscale discount is still too large, and probably a lot is going to be sold. There's still, liquidity issues with Gemini and what's called DGC, Digital Coin Group or whatever. Those things, that's kind of what I have my eye on. I agree with Richard. I don't think the market goes up in a sustainable manner until those issues get resolved, until those people get washed out. You still got Saylor with his leverage position. I think it's my understanding that he gets liquidated at like 14K on Bitcoin or something like that. But I'm just guessing there. So yeah, I mean, I think we see relief rally. But having said that, I'm not sure we go much higher than where it is now at 20,000 immediately. We'll see. We'll see. The S&P is touching the top of its range again, that it's already touched 4 times before it broke down. So I think this week we're gonna get some information. Does the market want to go up? I would keep my eye on the S&P. If you look at the S&P chart, you can draw like a descending channel from where it hit the high back in November of last year, down to its current place. You'll see that it touches it. I wish I could pull up a chart. Touches it 4 or 5 times. And right now it's towards the top of that channel. So, but sell the resistance, buy the support. And the other chart I have my eye on is the 10-year yield chart, which was going like straight up back in like September and hit maxed out about 4.2%, something like that. It was going up like 20 basis points per day at that point. Then Great Britain started printing again. Bank of England started printing again, and we saw the dollar fall off. Dollar was going straight up at that point. If you look at the DXY, and now it's going straight down. Whether that's going to continue or not, we'll see. And also just understanding how manipulated these markets are. They're at some point you're going to want to be in crypto at any price, basically. And at some point, people are going to be like, "Whoa, fiat money is fast. Where can I put it?" And the next bull market is the brakes come off and things just run. I think it's likely to be unlike anything we've ever seen. I think it's just gonna face melt mode all the way, sort of thing. But things have to, yeah, DXY has been going straight down. All these other things have to iron out. The thesis behind crypto in general is that central banks can't be trusted and we need sovereignty over our own assets. And so we're kind of, at the last vestiges of people thinking that central banks have a solution, and they don't. And it's going to be spectacular to watch the central banking system go down in flames. It's going to be spectacular. These people are so greedy and so self-serving and whatnot, and they want every they worship mammon, consciously or subconsciously, and they want every last darn fiat dollar bill that they can possibly get, and they want it all to themselves, and nobody else can have any more, or to their own little 1% club, which they're all ruthless cutthroats at that level. They want it all to themselves, but if it has to go to their group of 100 first, and then they can have a tontine to fight to be the last one standing, then they will. But my vision is that they will get their wish and they will have all of the fiat currency. And at the same time, the value of that fiat currency will go to zero and they won't be able to buy anything with it. And at the same time, the value of secure blockchains will go very high, and the value of physical assets will go very high, and they won't have that. So, you know, I think that's going to be a little kind of like tongue in cheek, cosmic giggle, is that the greediest people in the world will get all the fiat currency and it will be worth nothing. Um, yeah, I think DCA is smart. Like I'm kind of like married to my DCAs because I'm DCAing such a small amount and I don't trust centralized exchanges to where like, if I make a buy, let's say I buy Hedron because that was low and it was looking pretty good, last couple weeks. Um, Word up, man. Thank you for spending your time with me. I'm here every Sunday, 3 p.m. Bring in more of the Hexagon Flat Earthers. Spread the word. We can have a real nice discussion. Once I get my streaming stuff, I find some nice streaming software and get all going. I can bring on guests. I can pull up charts and share my screen, the whole darn thing. Thank you for spending your time with me. Very much appreciate Hexwood. I'll let your boy. So yeah, I'll probably wrap it up too. I was just enjoying chatting with Hexwood and getting to talk shop a little bit. Yeah, fiat currency is going to zero. Have a plan. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I'm like married to my bags because if I like put $100 into Hedron at a low, and it's costing me on Uniswap $5 to $8 to make that trade, then I have to get at least a 10% return. Well, it's cost me 5 to 8 to buy it, and then it would cost me another $5 to $8 to sell it to do another swap on Uniswap. So I'm looking at like $15 to get into the trade and to get out of the trade. So if I buy $100 worth of Hedron, it's got to go up at least 15% to make it profitable for me to swap back out of it, and probably a lot more. And especially at these levels, like Hedron was at 5 zeros and a 1, so you're getting like, was that a million? It's like a million per dollar or something like that. Um, that's a long term hold. You might as well just hold it for the long term at that price. Um, so we'll see. I keep DCA and be ready. Keep some dollars, something on the sideline. I don't know what is less sustainable right now, U.S. Federal Reserve notes or USDC in crypto. But USDC at a moment's notice, you can at least make a swap and put it into something that you think has long term value and be good on that. Um, you know, but anyway, enough of that. It's fun to talk about. Like I said, I didn't really mention, I'm really digging the Darrow community, and I think Darrow and Hex should have a talk. I think Richard Hart should consider homomorphic encryption. I think he should consider that the privacy on Ethereum is more vulnerable than he might let on, or that most people might think. I am looking forward to the release of Pulse Chain. I do think it's coming. It sounds like V3 is coming. I don't really have a problem with them taking a little bit of extra time once ETH 2.0 released. Like, they made the choice to pivot from a fork of the BSC chain, EVM based chain, to a fork of Ethereum 2.0, which is much better and potentially can implement sharding in the future. It's going to be compliant. I think that's the right move. And they probably had to tear down a lot of their code and rewrite a lot of new stuff. Like, I think it's fine. It's going to take a bit longer to develop. And the other thing is, like, people need to unbunch their panties because according to Richard's price call of 11K and Prey, which all of the reasons that he stated for that call are still valid, the Grayscale discount, the Mt. Gox coins, all of that is still valid. Why would you release Pulse Chain in a market that still hasn't found the bottom, that's still going down, assuming the 11K price call is valid? I think what we're seeing now is probably a relief rally, bull trap of some sort. There's too much macro stuff going on for it to sustain for that long, I think, and also it's just sus as hell the way that Bitcoin went straight up. And like I said, Bitcoin's a dinosaur. It's a dead technology. It's going to have limp gains. There's enough people that don't know shit that will buy Bitcoin, but the gains will be limp, I think. Um, so why would you release Pulse Chain into a market that's going down? Right. I think when we hit a firm bottom and some of this macro stuff irons itself out, then we'll get Pulse Chain. I think we're going to get V3 soon. Soon. I like Dollar Cost Crypto said maybe Valentine's Day. Seems reasonable to me. I think they're going to test the crap out of it. I think Richard knows his reputation and his glory is at stake, and he's going to do everything for it to be perfect. And I think we'll probably get Pulse Chain when the market starts going up. I think it'll probably be ready mid to late this year. That's we'll have to keep an eye on how the Ethereum, the dank sharding stuff goes, because that's going to be relevant. Other than that, I think they already had a lot of the code in place when they chose to pivot to ETH 2.0. So I think rewriting a lot of that probably won't be as hard as you might think it would be. Like, the Pulse X stuff doesn't change that much. It's just a clone of Uniswap. And I think this has probably given him a chance to do a lot more stuff behind the scenes that they otherwise would not have been able to do. They would have released it and then patched it afterwards. But now we're going to have a much better chance of it releasing as a full package. I mean, considering like whether the MetaMask clone will come in at or near that same time, these sort of things. I don't know, man. Richard Hart made a shit ton of people very wealthy, and the people that were early Hexicans, they'll sing his praises all day justly. He's the giving tree of crypto. He's the self-proclaimed best person in crypto. If you know a better person in crypto, bring them forth and let them list their accomplishments next to Richard's. Did their coin do 10,000x? Did they donate 27 million to charity? Did they call the top on the day twice in a row? Did they release self-help books? Did they help people stop gambling and lose weight and make better apologies and all those things? Huh? Bring them. If there's a better person in crypto, bring them forward. Let's evaluate everyone upon their merit, right? And whoever's the best person in crypto deserves to have their ideas heard and probably invested in, Why should the not best people in crypto get money? Sort of thing. Very excited for Pulse Chain, because the one thing about it is that Ethereum has its flaws, and the validators and the centralization issues, those are real. Like, Ethereum's got a tough slog in all honesty. Like, they need to really do some good work if they they're miles ahead of Bitcoin, so I think the flippening is likely to happen at some point, but they're not amazeballs. Like, manifesting God's reality of personal. Yeah. It's for us to focus the energy. What is God's reality? What does it look like? What can I as a human being do to accomplish a vision that I'm not capable of understanding? Of fully realizing it. We have only such a small speck of the omniscience of the Most High. We have to make decisions from our 3D perspective and reality. But yes, full power surrender is the only option. Whatever is the vision of Great Spirit, whatever is the vision of Jah or God or whatever, I submit my own personal will to accomplish that, because thy will, not mine, be done sort of vibe. I dig it. Once you can embrace the philosophy of surrender and humility. Are you talking to me, let go of the persona, or just people in general, just ego? In general. Okay, cool. No, I feel it. I have an ego. I do. We all do. Ego makes a wonderful servant and a terrible master. So we just have to be aware of that. And ego expressed at its highest level, at its highest level of separation, that's devil. Ego devil. That's the root of Satanism, is believing that my personal desires and needs surpass others, and that I have the right to harm others to achieve my personal vision, that sort of thing. Like the battle between good and evil is within every human heart, sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, I've had this discussion a fair amount of like, what is the proper way to express yourself and your ego without falling into some of those pitfalls. So I feel that for sure. So I mean, just to wrap up that point, I think the pulse chain release, I mean, pulse chain could be amazing. Like if like really well intentioned and well considered people end up being the validators for pulse chain, and we really galvanize around this us against the world thing, and really create a decentralized version of Ethereum that is validated and that is secured by people who sincerely wish to make the world a better place. Ooh, like pulse chain could get rowdy, like could be awesome, sort of thing. Having said that, like I'm gonna start getting a little bit loud within my hex interactions about Darrow and about the value of homomorphic encryption. You have information that is encrypted, that basically once it's submitted to the blockchain is encrypted the whole way. And the homomorphic encryption means that you can perform calculations on encrypted data and get a verifiable result without the need to decrypt that data. That's super valuable. That's like hitting a core value of cryptocurrency that not a lot of other people are. I just had a blip on my radar about Epic Cash that also is homomorphically encrypted. Also, fixed supply, 21 million seems to be the magic number. Everyone wants to model after Bitcoin. I'd like to dig a bit deeper into that and see what that is. However, having said that, like I just got off a call on the Darrow Discord before I came on stream today, and the community is lit. Like there's some smart people that are really plugged in, are really doing cool things. And yeah, Richard Hart, he's a Richard Hart maximalist. Okay, sure, you should be. And he only follows Richard Hart maximalists. Okay, cool. I'm a making the world a better place maximalist. So that's where I'm at with it. Like, state your case. Like you've done like a lot of good. I'd like to hear more about the homomorphic encryption, about privacy. I'd like to hear more, about what that looks like on the ground. Just ideas for making the world a better place. My idea for making the world a better place is, if you have well, if you have a capital deployment issue, like instead of outrage marketing, like I said, I think, dude, start buying up farmland and putting hexagons on it and teaching them to code, and creating, creating university or creating educational centers where you can pay tuition in hex, right? And you can teach the world to free itself, sort of vibe. How about that? That's a cool idea. I had an idea, and I'm just going to put it out there. I'm still fleshing it out, but I'm just going to put it out there as we're starting to kind of wrap up. I was thinking about decentralized autonomous organizations, which is basically a blockchain-based government. It's clear that we need better avenues for governance. We have a divine right to self-governance and sovereignty, but within that, we also have an inherent human desire for socialization and government by consent. Like in a community, I want to participate. I want to offer my resources to be used by the community in the way that benefits us all the best. I just don't want to be mistreated or treated like a slave, taxation without representation, etc. So within these decentralized autonomous organizations, how do things get done, etc. And I had a cool idea, and I'll just put it out there. So what if you added a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, that was based off basically holding a certain amount of a coin, but that coin was given freely based on participation in the DAO. So basically, um, basically something along the lines of, there's a project that you want to do. Let's say you want to fix the potholes in your neighborhood or whatever, or something meaningful. Or let's say you want to fund school, freedom education centers. Um, you want it to be done, but you don't know how. Like in many cases, like the best way for things to get done is for people to independently figure out what the best way is to do it, and to remove oversight. Give money to high quality people and then let them figure it out for themselves. So what I was thinking is like, have a fund for whatever project it is, and anybody can donate into it. You say, hey, fix the potholes in my neighborhood. I would like that to happen, but I don't necessarily want to do it myself, but I'll donate $10 to it. Like, sure. And then have people vote on the people who would be in the best position to implement that based on their participation in the community or based on their reputation, right? So if you say, hey, I know that this member of the DAO or this member of the community is awesome and is good with their hands and would do a good job at that, or whatever the project is. I know that this person cares. I know they contribute to the community. I know they have, they're smart and they have the tools. I'm going to vote for them to get a representational portion of the treasury for that product. And that once at the, there's a certain time frame, and at the end of that time frame elapsing, the total that was donated into the treasury for that project is distributed proportionally to the people that got the most votes. And you can vote for anybody, any wallet that holds the coin, once per day, only once. And if you don't use your vote, it goes away and you can't vote for yourself, right? And so basically that's it. And that at the end of the time, the funds are distributed to the people, and that they're able to work on that project in the best way that they see fit. And that's kind of it. And it's all kind of based on reputation. Is the people that put in the most are the most likely to get the most votes, are the most likely to receive the bounty of the treasury. And that there's some amount of like, yeah, it's based on reputation. If people know that you're awesome, then they'll vote for you. And then also it's based on, responsibility of not voting for, kind of meme lord TikTok stars who contribute nothing. And, it's kind of a way to monetize your likes, of like, monetizing that consciousness, and help getting more likes to people that are actually doing awesome things, and not just, you know, doing clickbait nonsense. Um, so somewhere along these lines, one interesting thing that came from a Hexagon community is the Messier project, the M87 coin. I have my eyes on it. It looks like a cool coin. It looks like they're going a bit deeper into the DAO idea of basically everyone pays into a treasury, and then they vote on what the treasury will be spent towards. A basket of altcoins or whatever, and then distributed like a dividend to the coin holders. That's cool. I like it. I'd like to read the white paper a bit closer, and see how it plays out. But I think there's some brain power behind that project. It's kind of a cool one. It might be one of those. It's a low cap. It's a low price valuation right now, so you could get a lot for a little. Um, and it seems like there's enough brain power there that it might have some staying power. So that's cool. The other coin I might mention, which is kind of like an Ethereum EVM based coin, is Metis. It's cool. It's fast. They have fast confirmation times, reasonable fees. It's down at a reasonable price right now. It's pretty cool, and they're pioneering a DAO structure called DAC, Decentralized Autonomous Company. So basically, a DAO structured towards making business decisions towards a company sort of thing. And that's cool. I'll have to dig into it a bit more. But yeah, no, I think these DAOs are likely to be like governance structures of the future sort of thing. And I'd like to hear more ideas about it. If we're going to make the world a better place, we need ways to make communal decisions that are good. Um, So that's it. I'm passionate about that. And then I'm starting to think about, I mentioned it earlier and I'll briefly touch it again, is supply chain stuff. And this is not necessarily a crypto thing, but in general, is we need to get control of the supply chain. Good people need to get control of the supply chain. There's so much abundance in the world, so much of um, so much of the poverty and scarcity that we see in the world is due to greed and misallocation of funds and outright theft in many cases. And we can figure it out. If smart, good-hearted people um, get into good positions in the supply chain, that's, we could, the abundance exists that we could very easily have a heaven on earth situation. Um, you know, and people just need to learn how to, like, you can't you can't buy love or happiness or joy, and it's free for anybody that knows how to access it. Anytime, no matter what your circumstance, no matter how bad the outward situation looks, you can put a smile on your face. It's free. It's right there for you, and the neurotransmitters fire, and all of a sudden things are a little bit better, and then you just snowball it until you're blissfully glorious all day, every day. And once enough people tune into that, how you can get more with less, and you can get more joy with less material possessions. The Maslow hierarchy of needs. Once our basic needs are met, more money doesn't make you more happy. So, like, let's focus on meeting everyone's basic needs, and then let's focus on the things that do make people more happy: more community, more music, more dancing, etc. Okay, so I'll leave with this. Like, there's this story. It was basically like when they take in these tribal places, when they take someone that's suffering from depression or mental health issues to the healer, to the shaman or whatever, they ask them basically four questions. I'm not going to remember them all, but it was like, when did you stop dancing? When did you stop singing? When did you stop enjoying listening to stories? When did you stop using your imagination? Something like that. Um, and that's kind of the vibe, is like, joy is the most glorious thing in the world, and it's free. Kindness is free. Compassion, sharing, connection is free. The more you give, the more you get, and these things are always available. Um, so let's honor ourselves and treat each other with dignity, carry the vibe. Talking about the science of joy, um, there is a science to it. There are repeatable things that you can do if you're not feeling joy in your life, to help you begin to feel joy and to help you expand upon your joy. And the science of joy, it has to do with the energy that we feel when we're excited, when we're aroused, when we're stimulated in a way that connects with our heart, right? But it's not explicitly sexual. It deals with the sexual energies and the dance interplay of electrical and magnetic, of the L and the Ma, um, of man and woman, masculine and feminine. But it's the joy that happens in those spaces. It's not about fulfillment. It's not about a destination. It's not about some sort of orgasmic release. It's about cultivation, appreciation, interplay, balance, dynamics, alchemy, you know, temperature, pressure, you know, submission, action, fire, water, these sort of things. So I'll be very pleased to go into a deeper discussion on the esoteric meaning of Tantra in a non-explicit sexual way. It's more of just how can we incorporate joy into our life in a scientific way that creates the best situations for everyone. Um, and as part of that, we can do like a deep dive on alchemy, um, on all of the elements and putting them in balance in order to find our highest expression of joy, individually and communally. And communally, globally, our highest expression of joy is heaven on earth. So that's where we going. Thank you for spending your time with me today. This has been a wonderful ride. I very much enjoyed having a little bit of participation, having a couple people stop in. Please share the message. Please come hang out with me. Be my friend. We're doing this together um, everywhere we go. And I'm just pleased to participate and pleased to give my offering. So I will see you next week. Same place, same time. We'll catch a little vibe and keep it on rolling. Love you very much. Have a wonderful week. I'll check in with you next time. Peace and love.